Well, you were 8 years old when I started noticing some changes in you. You were a very energetic kid. It was hard to keep you still. So, a couple of weeks before you were diagnosed, you had to use the bathroom very frequently, especially in the middle of the night, which was really not common for you. And then I noticed you being a lot more sluggish. You came home from school one day and I saw you were laying on the couch, and you never took naps unless I forced you to. So when I saw that, I started getting really worried because you were kind of listless and your eyes were glossed over. And I was asking you questions and you weren't really giving me very coherent answers. And I got pretty worried, so I rushed you to the hospital, and I'm really glad that I thought for a moment maybe I should give you soda, like maybe you had something going on with your stomach, but I'm really glad that I didn't. I rushed you to the hospital and it was really scary. I knew something was wrong. It didn't take them very long to figure out that your blood sugar was over 600, which is crazy high. It shouldn't be over 100 for your average person. And they rushed you to Loma Linda University, the children's hospital there. And it was very scary. You were not very coherent in the beginning. You didn't really understand what was going on at first. I think we didn't really understand what was going on at first. And so we started learning. You were there for a number of days and we started learning about what type 1 diabetes is. And it's an autoimmune disease and there's nothing that you could do about it. You're insulin dependent. Your life depended on you having insulin. And we had so many scary moments, so many hospitalizations after that I think for me, I started getting really angry and bitter. Like, you're such a perfect child, and I hated that you had to experience the world in this way with all of this fear. You just wanted to be a normal kid and play and eat what you want, and that just wasn't your reality. It was really painful for you, but it was also really painful for me, being your mother, to see you go through so much. And I remember just being so angry that that was your reality. And I came to a place where I had to let that go, to realize that every day I get with you is a blessing, and that I need to cherish that instead of thinking about all of the what ifs. There are so many different times that I almost lost you, or I thought I was going to lose you. You're so close to death. And that was really hard. It was really hard to see you go through, and it was really hard as your mother to almost lose you so many times. I could see how frustrating it was for you that you just couldn't have this normal childhood, this normal experience that all of your other friends got to have, where you could just be irresponsible sometimes and not have it be life-threatening. And then, you know, the thought of you dying, the thought of your mortality being so little is so, like, devastating to me. And it was something I could see really affected you in a really deep way. It sent you into this spiraling depression, and it was really heartbreaking to watch. I think now that you've grown so much through your pain and your struggles and suffering, it's made you see the world in a different lens because you've had these experiences.
My intention with sharing this experience was to discuss coping mechanisms and my perspective on death and life. It was a very difficult and frightening experience, having my family crying over me like I was already dead. But I knew my diagnosis wasn't a death sentence. I met kids in the hospital then who weren't going to survive the conditions they were diagnosed with, and they would spend their last days in that hospital. It put my own situation into perspective. As hard as it was to be diagnosed with a chronic illness, I knew it could be worse. Even though I came close to dying more than once, I was alive. I learned to cope with this by showing gratitude. Life is fragile. It can turn or be lost at the drop of a hat. Everything changed in my life that day. And so I had to understand every day is a gift. I was grateful for every moment I got to spend with my friends and family. But sometimes it just wasn't enough. I still felt weird for having an illness, and other kids would sometimes pick on me. I developed this idea that I had to deal with it all silently, and it made me feel alone. So I searched for an outlet. Since I was young, I've loved music. I remember listening to the Amelie soundtrack on repeat, or Eric Satie's Gnasien. It seems every stage in my life I've been surrounded and healed by music. I began writing and making my own music in high school after a very frightening and intense visit to the hospital. Ever since then, I've been dedicated to learning all I can and using music as an outlet for all of these intense emotions and thoughts. I pour 100% of myself into my music, and I can say confidently that it has saved my life. I can only hope that anyone can find this passion or calling, something to save them from life's tough battles and from their own misery. Thank you so much for listening to this and watching this video. I hope you have a great day.